To begin assembling, you're going to need a few things. You're going to need a highlighter or a Sharpie to indicate where your pocket holes are going to be in your model. You'll need some tape for assembly. My provided plans, which you're going to need. These are courtesy of Anna White. And you are going to need all your little components for your table. So before we begin, I just want to take a moment and talk a little bit about pocket holes. So these are essentially pocket holes, and these are essentially pocket hole screws. And you would use one of these jigs and one of these special stepped drill bits to essentially drill in that hole, which gives you that angled hole. Once you've got those angled holes, you put the screws in to the piece of wood that you're joining, so something like this. And so this could be a rail, and then this could be a leg, and then that fastens the rail onto the leg. The reason why I'm going over this is as you are assembling your paper model, you are going to take a Sharpie or a highlighter, and you are going to indicate where those pocket holes are going to be. So let's start and let's assemble this table together. So according to your plan, the very first step is to take your legs, which are these things here, and attach a rail in between the two of them. So there's my short rail over there. The plans indicate also that there's going to be a pocket hole here and a pocket hole here, pocket hole here and a pocket hole here there. And the purpose of those pocket holes is so that that piece of wood or that rail would screw into the leg like this. For the purposes of our paper assembly, we're not actually going to put screws into it. We will use these special tabs to tape and connect that to where we would want it to be. But we would use a marker to indicate where those pocket holes are going to go. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Be aware that direction is important. So I'm going to put an arrow this way, and I'm going to put an arrow this way. And that is to indicate that the pocket hole goes this way and not the other way around. So there's my pocket hole there. I'm going to need a pocket hole going this way. There's my other pocket hole. And going back to our plan, in the future, we're going to have to put a pocket hole here and a pocket hole going this way. And the purpose of that is fast forward a little bit. We have to attach the rail onto the tabletop. So going back to my model, there we go. Now that I've labeled out where my pocket holes are going to be, I'm going to start to tape this together. Make sure that these little flange things are facing you, and that's the top. I'm going to start by putting a little bit of tape on this tab here. With tape, add some tape onto this tab here. Make sure the pocket holes are facing inside of the table. I like to put my finger inside the tube, which gives it a little bit more rigidity as I'm fastening this thing together. And there is my first inside rail. Now I'm going to do this side. And there's my first little rail over here. And it even tells people where exactly the pocket holes go. Now, conventionally, when you're building a table, you would build the two. So right now we have an assembly of 2 legs and a rail. And when you have 2 legs and a rail, we actually call that a gable. So conventionally, when you're building a table, we would build both of the gables together. So here's the first gable, and I'm going to go and build the second one. And so I'm just going to follow that step as if I were making an actual table. I'm going to do the same thing. Start by adding the pocket holes. Then start to tape and assemble. And now I have my 2 gables. Going back to my instructions, I've assembled this gable over here, and I've assembled this gable over here. So now it's time to add these 2. And again, I'm going to need to add those pocket holes. To give you an idea, I'm going to need to put the pocket holes in like this. So for this one, I grab my long rail, and I'm going to attach it like this. And then now I'm going to add some tape here to reinforce this. If you have cereal box or cardstock, this will also make your job a lot easier. And then to reinforce it and hold it in place, I'm going to go add some tape here. Now at this point, I'm going to attach these 2 to this gable over here. And then I'm going to do the same and add and fasten this point to this point over here. So now we have the frame for our table. Now we're going to attach this to our tabletop. All right, at this point, I've got my frame. And what I've done is I also have my tabletop over here. And just to make it easier to attach this frame onto my tabletop, and to make it a little bit easier, I actually just attached it onto some cardboard over here. Now, in reality, when you're building this table, the wood has rigidity on its own so that the wood would actually be able to stay on top of the frame, but that's not the case with paper. To attach this frame onto this cardboard, all I'm going to do is I'm going to add tape along the flanges over here. And then I'm going to position it to the best of my ability. Pinch down. I'm going to rotate this, work on this corner just to keep everything in position. Add some more over here. And then finally over here. At this point, you can be the judge to see if you need to add a little bit more tape. And if you haven't done so already, use a marker to indicate with arrows where the pocket holes are going to be. And as you can see, here is my little paper prototype of the table that I'm currently designing. So here's my tabletop. It shows me what the underside of the table looks like, but it also has information over here about where the pocket holes would actually go. And that's my finished prototype. Thank you for watching. And that's how you make a little paper prototype.